Hi everyone, from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Debbie and I are on vacation here out west, and we have been privileged to be immersed in God's majestic beauty, natural beauty. Behind me are the great Tetons, and this range of mountains just goes on and on. I'm reminded of the Rambam, Hilchos Yisodei Torah, chapter 2, Halacha 2. It says one path in which one can cultivate more Yirat Shemayim and Avat Hashem, more reverence for God and a greater love for God, is his libonein, to meditate on God's beauty, God's nature in the world. When he's immersed and looks at nature and sees all the greatness and glory within nature, it hopefully, or can and has the possibility, the potential, to help us cultivate a greater love and reverence for God. Behind me is a willow bush and a rava, and as I'm taking a morning hike, I'm already reminded that through nature, that in only 4 months will be the holiday of Sukkot. And by looking at a bush, most people just walk by this little tree and say, oh, a nice little tree next to a little brook. And yet, a God-fearing Jew takes a look and says, oh, look at this tree that's going to help me fulfill a mitzvah and come closer to Hashem. This week is a double parsha of Chukat and Balak, and the parsha of Chukat begins Zot Chukat HaTorah Asher Tziva Hashem, and it goes on to tell us that this chok, the statute, which we will not understand, is the story, the mitzvah of Paraduma, the red heifer, that makes those that are impure pure, and those that are pure who help prepare it become impure. It is beyond our understanding. And Rashi starts off by telling us that this chok is to tell us that regardless whether we understand mitzvah or not, and this mitzvah is beyond our understanding and our comprehension. Even Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, the wisest of all men, said, it's beyond me. To teach us that even when those that come and try to create doubts in our belief and commitment to Hashem, we have to understand that there are things, most things in this world are really beyond our comprehension. Debbie and I have seen so much beauty, and it's really beyond comprehension. The various landscapes in a short amount of time, just the simple beauty, the ecosystem of how everything is interconnected. It's so beyond. And yet, we want to be close to it. We want to engage in it. I think it's kind of interesting that when Rashi tells us that Paraduma is a chok, then he should just go on, right? But yet Rashi spends an enormous amount of ink and paper trying to explain and give us a geschmack and understanding of what Paraduma is and what we can learn from it. And I'm wondering, why does Rashi take all his time? He just told us it's a chok. It's something we can't really understand. So why bother? And I think about the introduction to the Sefer Chinuch, where he tries to explain the mitzvah. And he says, look, there is no way that we understand God's will. We don't have that kind of arrogance. But it's still incumbent upon us. God gave us common sense. God gave us intellect. And everything that God endowed us with is a tool to get closer to him. And so that we do our best in our limited intellect to try to learn lessons that will bring us closer to Hashem. And through nature, one way, nature, to bring us closer to Hashem. Again, the willow tree, the arava tree right behind me, to remind me anyway, about Hashem has given us so many opportunities to connect to him. Look at this beautiful world. I think behind me you can see these balloons, these air balloons that are flying behind me. Yeah, I'm looking up. You guys can look behind me and see people taking in God's nature, God's beauty. It is so beyond. And there's nothing like it. I mean, I could read all the brochures and see all the pictures, but there's something about being immersed in it. And I think that's true with Torah as well. It's not just enough to have an intellectual pursuit of Torah, but it's about immersing one's life into it. And that's how one can feel, at least I can feel, the presence of Hashem and Hashem's beauty. If you like what you hear, pass it on. And I hope that all of you one day have the merit to go out, reboot, refresh, and immerse yourself in God's natural beauty. Shabbat Shalom, and if you like what you hear, please pass it on.